What's up, what's up, what's up, Union Brothers? Coming over here to you today, kind of show you guys, give you a lowdown to box if you're an apprentice, or maybe you just want to learn something that I might happen to know that you might not. Just gonna give you a little lowdown of the LN-25, how to set it up, and just basic stuff. And then maybe touch up on ranges, like the currents and the wires, to give you like a base settings of what you can do in the field and what you can do in the shop. So I'm gonna bring you in over here. Over here we got our LN-25. It's an older model. You guys use like newer models, you know what I'm saying? What's it called? So first and foremost, I'm gonna touch up on what current that you're gonna want to connect your box to, which is gonna be DCEN, which means it's gonna be connected to your negative. You always want to run that down, make sure your box is connected to negative, right? And second of all, want to make sure you have your tensioner, which is, it's going to be right here. It's going to be a little bit different on the Pro model, right? This is going to be your tensioner of the wire that you're going to spool into here. This tensioner is going to grab the wire. If you loosen it, it's not going to spool it right. It's not going to grab it, and it's going to skip. So that tensioner is very important on having it at the right setting, right? So essentially, the way to test that out is you're gonna want to put, I got my whip right here. Put your whip in here if you don't have it already, and then you tighten it down right here, right? And then once you get your wire and it's all connected, you get your ground connected, and you're gonna want to connect this ground to a solid surface, right? To a clean surface. Preferably, you're going to want to connect this ground to another ground, to the other ground on the positive, which is a positive, right? You can connect it directly to that positive, and preferably on the metal you're going to weld to. The closer you are to your weld zone, you ground it to your weld zone, the better it's going to be. So if you got your ground way out there connected and you're connecting right here, it's not going to be as good as a weld. And then second off, so once you got it all connected and it's running, you're gonna want to put that wire in here, right? To test this tensioner, we're gonna wanna put that wire in here and spool it through here by pushing the gun. You're gonna always want, number one is always have this whip with no coils in it, because what happens is it creates friction, and then with that friction, it creates dust in there. And then what'll happen is at the tip of this little weld right here, it'll weld in the back side of this tip, and you'll get problems consistently because you're creating dust from the friction of the wire through the coils. And that also puts more tension on that tensioner, right? So it's harder, it's pushing it even harder. So you're gonna wanna straighten it out. Once you get it all straightened out, you're going to wanna spool it through your whip. And now you're spooling it through your whip, right? Spool. And then it comes through and it comes out. What you're gonna want to do, hold on, I'm gonna have to set this down right here. What you're gonna wanna do is spool it out, and you're gonna wanna place your hand right here as you're spooling it, and you're gonna wanna shoot it through your hand. And if you start skipping, you give it a little bit more tightness. And then you start skipping, you give it a little bit more tightness, till it fights the resistance of your hand when you're shooting it. That's how you know you got the right amount of resistance, because what'll happen is that wire is hollow, and you'll crush that wire if you tighten it too much, and then you'll get jammed up in the whip, and you'll have a big problem. So it's very important to have that tensioner nice and tight, but not too tight, because you're gonna crush that. Let's say you do have a coil in your whip, right? What'll happen is you'll create two coils in the whip, and you'll end up jamming it through that whip, and now you're down 20 minutes. All because you didn't just do a quick, hey, test on your tensioner, right? So that's the way to test that tensioner out right there. It's a really good way. Let me see what else I could touch up on, help you guys. And okay, so we'll talk a little bit about ranges, right? the ranges. So let's say I'm gonna go into the shop. I'm gonna go in the shop and I'm gonna go weld. The thing you have to understand about that is that you're using less lead. You're getting the current directly from the electricity, which is AC. You're getting current, and that current is going to be a lot stronger. So the numbers, the amount of volts you're going to use is going to be a lot less. So my settings in the shop, surefire setting every single time. It's going to be 21.7 for my volts and about 170 for my root, and all the way to my fill. And then once I get my cap going, I'll do 175. And it's literally a fraction of a, you know, it sounds retarded, but it's the truth. That little fraction right there is going to give it enough, you know, cooling to where it just doesn't fall out on you. But those settings are for, you know, precise movements. You got to stay on top of that. Raise your elbow up. Let me see what else I could touch on. And okay, so let's say you're in the field. If you're in the field, right, those settings, a good base, you know, a novice entry-level welder, you're gonna no lower than 25.5, 225. If you're welding lower than 25.5, 225, you need to stop welding. Okay. You know, on the higher end of that, you're gonna be looking at 27. You know, I mean, guys, dude, I mean, personally, I can go. You know, I've done 40 at like 650 or some crazy numbers. You got to find that little sweet spot, right? But it's not a very eye-pleasing weld. So, I mean, if I'm trying to put out, you know, my best work, I can go to like 28, 27, and that all correlates to the amount of lead you have in the field, right? Because you lose current. So those numbers are higher because you lose current through all the leads, right? You say you have 50 feet of lead, that those numbers are going to go up. They say you got 100 feet of lead, 100 feet on your negative, 100 feet on your positive. Those numbers go up because now it's fighting all that, you know, all that copper inside that those leads just to give you the current that you need. So those are all good things to keep in mind when you're in the field. Like, hey, okay, I got 50 feet of lead. Well, okay, then 27, about 245. You know what I'm saying? That's going to give you a good, nice, clean weld. And you can always tweak it a little bit here and there. What you're trying to pay attention to is the sound and the look, obviously, right? You want a nice sizzle, like with pop, like a few pops, just a little bit. It's like I can tune a machine just by hearing it. You know, you'll get there eventually, but yeah, so that's just a little bit trying to help you guys out, help my brothers. I know what it's like. You know, I had to learn all this on my own, so just trying to help a fellow union brother out. Peace.